This is Felix Garcia, aka the Finance Pastor. What an honor and a privilege it is to be welcomed into your home. What a day in the stock market. All eyes are on Nvidia. Many investors are looking to see what are the news that comes from Nvidia's earnings. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Is it going to have certain good points, but market investors really don't like the news? We all know that the market is being propped up by Nvidia, and a lot of investors are weary, and you start seeing a lot of investors who are playing puts. Some already have sold their positions, Michael Burry being one of them, Peter Thiel. You have a lot of people that are really selling their positions, and many are really just dwindling down on their positions on other stocks like Tesla and the Mag 7. Now, one of the things that I want to share with some of you here is that even though many investors are weary, there are still opportunities for you to find great investments. Now, out of the Mag 7, you have to look at what Warren Buffett is doing. He's just purchased more shares of Google. And if you look at Google, it's profitable. It has money streams coming in. Now, one of the things that you look at, if you are a value investor like a Warren Buffett, then you're looking at PE ratios. You're looking at what is that you're buying. And I have a good friend that always tells me, Felix, price is what you pay. Value is what you receive. And that's where you want to buy good stocks. I want to buy a Louis Vuitton purse, but I want to pay a TJ Maxx price for it. And you have to look at the stock market as you're going shopping. You have to look at the stock market as saying, I want to buy low and I want to sell high. The question that many investors has is, what is low? What is high? And many people don't know that you can actually sell high and buy low, which is the reverse. For many people who do shorting or who know how to make money on the downside, this is a great opportunity to actually capitalize of a lot of these short-term downfalls that are happening. Now, long-term, many people ask me, are you bullish? Long-term, yes, I am bullish on America. But short term, I'm also weary. There's a lot of overvaluing of these AI stocks. And many investors with much intrepidation, they also think, okay, you have many companies such as like OpenAI is at the center of this. Now you have Nvidia. And then you start seeing that Apple owns interest in OpenAI. And it feels like there's a lot of funny money or a lot of creative financing that's happening. Like if I have a $5 bill, it seems like, one company on their books, they show $5 and then they say, well, we'll lend you $5 to the next one. And it almost seems like the new company now shows this $5 as a credit and basically shows in their books as an invoice. And if you start looking at all the companies, they're really investing into each other. And you start looking at this accounting practice and you wonder, okay, is this sustainable? Or is this like the dot-com bubble where we're going to see is like Warren Buffett's famous quote is, when the tide is low, you see who's swimming in the lake naked. So you got to see is which of these companies are actually profitable. At the end of the day, all of this imagination of what could be is fine. But one thing will always stand the test of time is you got to be profitable. There's no way, if you want something to be sustainable, it has to be profitable. And you have many companies that are overvalued. Some of them 277. You look at Tesla. I do own Tesla, but Tesla, the PE ratio is 277. If Elon Musk does not come through, this stock is going to be really at the $150 range. So you start looking at how much overvalued are these stocks. Nvidia, it's about the $58 PE ratio, overvalued, and you have a lot of other companies. Now, in this space, you still have some good companies that are undervalued. Google is one of them. You start seeing that a lot of where Warren Buffett is putting his money in is very valuable. And there's other companies that you can say, okay, I like this stock. It's profitable. And, it might be something that I want to look if you're looking for the long term. Now, One of the things that I have been doing is in the dips, I am very bullish on cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is here to stay. If I look at cryptocurrency at tomorrow's price, I am going to be worried. But if I'm looking at 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, I actually like what I feel like cryptocurrency could be. Now, what have I been doing in the last few days? I have been buying the dips. I've been adding more Ethereum. I've been adding more Bitcoin. I've been adding more XRP, XLM. I think a Cardano, I've been adding some of that. So all these dips, I'm actually finding it as an opportunity. Remember, I want to buy a Louis Vuitton purse, but I want to pay a TJ Maxx price for it. And that's what we want to do as investors is we want to have an even keel type of approach. We want to know is that our dollars are working for us. And like I mentioned before, and many of you have heard this, George Washington, he's fighting for your freedom. At one time he fought for your freedom to live. Now he's fighting for your financial freedom. How? In the dollar. See, George Washington is a soldier, but he's fighting for you now is just through financial freedom. And you only want to set George Washington free if he comes back with 2 or 3. You just need to know where to send him free. And in the stock market, I love deploying my George Washingtons in good stocks. Now, many people are always thinking, if I buy now, is it the low? You're never going to find the lowest point. It is impossible. But now what you try to do is you do your dollar cost average. Are you buying over time? Are you a long-term investor? If you're a long-term investor, you'll do well. That's why I like the SPY, companies like that, the VOO, things that track the S&P 500. If you're an investor that has proper expectations, that you know that there's nothing going to be overnight, that you have that 1 to 5 year plan, 1 to 20 year plan, you start seeing that if you put your money little by little, whether it's buying one share, one ETF of the SPY, you start seeing that over time you'll have 10 or 15, $20,000 invested in that. Over 15, 20 years, that 20,000 can turn into half a million. In certain cases, if you put something like that in a company like Nvidia, it probably would have turned already right now by $1.4 million. It's about being patient. And you have to learn as a investor is proper stock rotation. What do I mean by that? Over the last 3 years, we've heard about the Mag 7. I mean, that has been the darling of the stock market. But you start seeing that eventually those stocks are going to fade. And some of those stocks are not going to be the darlings anymore. They will be a new company, a new darling, a new sector that will dominate the market. One of the sectors that I'm looking into is healthcare. Companies like Johnson and Johnson, those are good companies that if you're strictly buying for PE ratio, if you're strictly buying for PE ratio, Johnson and Johnson is one of those good companies. I'm a huge fan of the Johnson and Johnson brand. I use it in my house. You start looking at from baby powder, Q-tips, things like that. We help propel that stock. Not only that, but Johnson and Johnson is very innovative in the healthcare industry. And what you're starting to see is a lot of stock rotation. A lot of people just moving their stocks from AI into healthcare. And that's where you've seen a lot of those stocks really go up. Many people look at, okay, what if everything goes down? Where is this money going to go? And many people look at healthcare. Many people look at that the stock is poised for 40% downturn. That is a huge, significant downturn in your portfolio. Imagine if you're the type of person that has a $1 million in your portfolio and the stock market drops 40%. Well, you have a $400,000 problem. So you have to learn how to insure your portfolio. There's such things as put insurance, where if you feel like the news of Nvidia is not settling to you, you can either capitalize by doing a put insurance. You could do a front month option or you could do a 2 to 3 month option. It all depends on how much premium you want to pay for it. So that's the thing you look at. If you have a portfolio and it's not insured correctly, you must consider insuring your portfolio using instruments as a protective put or a stop loss. But you generally want to have both, because what if a stock gaps down? Then your stop loss really is negated. It has to be precisely when it hits. So that's why many people have double insurance, or where they call is a collar, where they have a stop loss, but they also have a put insurance on that, on their portfolio or on the stocks that they own. So let's look at a couple of things. I want to show my one of my screens. Let's look into let's go to trading view. Let's look at what's currently happening right now. We're looking at the S&P right now is turning negative. Okay, so we kind of seen just this candlestick right here, just really kind of in an indecision, and really everything is going to ride on Nvidia. And let me share something with you here. You look at other stocks like the Nasdaq, which is currently now negative 62. You see a lot of indecision, you see a lot of selling, and you have a lot of people that are covering their assets here, which is either they're selling their portfolios because they're saying to themselves, if this news is really bad, I can tend to lose all my gains. And what you have is many people who are doing that and are selling. There are many people who are doing stock rotation. I know a lot of friends of mine that are just selling positions in Nvidia, many of the key Apple, Tesla, and putting that money into bonds, or they're putting it into the money market account. So at least if they protect their principal, that's a good play too. There's wisdom in that. It's okay to put your money in the sidelines. Now, if you're the type of person that has a 401k, you're not allowed to do that. That's the biggest drawback that many people have with their 401ks, is that you can't put a stop loss, and you cannot do options on your 401k unless you have a separate brokerage account and you cover yourself through a protective put. But we look the Dow Jones, the VIX, it's kind of down a little bit, but I'm surprising there. Apple, let's look at Apple. Apple's actually done pretty good as a safe haven. What we hear, let's see any of the financials. Everyone has this at a buy. I love Apple products. I just don't think they're as innovative as they used to be. That's the one thing. Now, one of the things that I do love about Apple is that it has a 22% stake in OpenAI. So I look at that source, that might be future revenue, kind of like what the iTunes is to that. It's just a continuing source of revenue. So I want to look at that relationship with them. So pretty decent there. Let's look at Tesla. Tesla's down. Tesla's just been hammered over the last few weeks. After all those positive earnings, you can see this chart right here. It's kind of filled in this gap right here. I actually like that, because now it's already filled this gap. I think if it stays in this range right here, this 396, and I mentioned this in a couple of videos ago, if every time this stock hits that 391, 392, 393, 394, it seems like there's either institutional buying at that point, or you have a lot of retail investors that are just looking at where this candlestick is at 396, and they just have buy orders there. To me, that's what it looks like, just from just trading this stock on a consistent basis over the last few years, is that you have a lot of institutional buying in this 396. If the market, like I said, even Nvidia will prop up Tesla. Now, one thing is, you may find people that will transfer or rotate their money into Tesla. Like, they're really bullish on Tesla. Tesla's back on good terms with Trump administration. He was at the dinner with the Saudi prince. You never know what kind of business deals are going in the back room there. And you had also Tim Cook was there. You also have Jensen Huang from NVIDIA. You had Lisa Su from AMD. You had so many other people, Citibank. You had a lot of very important people there. And what you're seeing now is that Tesla could be in that no man's land where people are going to move their money into Tesla. So I really like this one right here. Netflix, they finally did the split. And Netflix is this. I like the split. I'm almost, if this stock drops a little more, I may be adding to my position. Generally, and this is generally, when a stock does a split, it goes back to the price where it split. So my price point is going to be this to $1,000. Now, this could take 2 to 3 years, but this is, look at it from this point. You're buying value. Now more investors are able to put more money into Netflix, and that opens up the value here. Now, could this stock be overvalued? No one knows here, but we kind of look at it from a perspective of what is it doing. Some of the analysts, yearly trade bonds. So the volatility, honestly, it's kind of subsided somewhat, but let's see. Netflix, I like Netflix for the long term. Silver, man, silver and gold has just had a great run. Any silver enthusiasts have seen this run and has fell in love with it. Now, one of the things is that, will this continue? And I don't know. As long as there's uncertainty, as long as people feel like there's no uncertainty in cryptocurrency or in the economy, they're gonna run into a safe haven, which is gold and silver. For those silver investors who have held onto silver for the last 14, 15 years, you're getting rewarded, because has surpassed a previous high, and it's took 14 years to get back to this price here. Now, will it continue? I don't know, but look at this pattern. It's forming an M. This could be M for murder. Could this fall down? If this does fall down, I could see silver returning back to the $37, $36, $39 range. I really can, because this could be an M, or it could just be like, hey, we're building another supply zone right here in the $48, $46 range. So I'm looking at silver. I'm loving that. Let's look at some other stocks. Let's go look at NVIDIA. What is NVIDIA doing right now? NVIDIA is up to 279. Again, everyone's waiting on NVIDIA. Will it prop us to good news? Now, one of the things that I like here is, let's do let's do a long position here. Let's say is right here. If I'm looking at this spot right here, this range right here is what I'm looking at. NVIDIA is right in this range. So it is almost falling to a supply zone. Now, hear me out. If this falls through, oh, we going right back down here. And the fall could be very precipitous. Now, you may have some buyers in the 150 range. That may be so, because you kind of see certain movement in this range right here. But if this goes into this range, and if you start seeing around the 169 people starting to buy this, then you start seeing that there's a lot of investors that are seeing NVIDIA as at a discounted price right now. This is the most valuable company in America right now, $5 trillion. And you look at, even Tesla is valued at $1.5 trillion. So this is a kind of, I love this stock. One of the stocks I've been buying, and this is not a recommendation, but many people ask me what I have. So this is one I've been buying up, BM&R. So around this $29, $33 range, there's institutional buying. Now you have investors such as Kathy Wood, Peter Thiel, that are investing in this company. Tom Lee, speaks a lot highly about this, about Ethereum. I am buying the dips. I'm buying both the stock, this ETF, plus I'm also buying the physical or the Coinbase. I'm on my Coinbase account. I've been adding Ethereum. I still think these are discounts. Crypto is not going anywhere. So that's why that's my conviction. You have to look at what this administration is doing with the Genius Act and the Clarity Act, and you got to follow the money. Here, you got to follow the money. So, one of the things that you find that when you follow the money, it does not matter who's president. It does not matter, whether it's a Republican or is a Democrat. As a child of God, we have to look at that. I don't lean left and I don't lean right. I'm not about a Republican or Democrat. I'm more about the Lamb's agenda. I want to live for the King of Kings. President Bush did not die for me. President Trump did not die for me. President Obama did not die for me. President Biden did not die for me. Jesus Christ died for me. And I look at is as an investor, I try to be even keel, and I look at what's the government's doing. When you look at where the money flows in Washington, D.C., you can invest in any type of economy. That's the beautiful thing about this. So you can hold your peace and still invest. And that's what I love about this. So I look forward to just many more what happens today. Let's see what happens with Nvidia, because this is going to be a really interesting play here. Are we going to continue to move forward, or is Nvidia going to really drag the markets down? There's no other way about it. So as you start investing, you start looking at what are the things that you should do to invest. So one of the things is I tell people pick a stock. So number one, I'm going to share my screen. Number one, pick a stock. I always tell people to pick anywhere from 2 to 8 stocks. That's what you want to focus on. And if you tell yourself, well, I don't know what stocks to look at, well, consider this. Look at the car you drive. Look at the products you enjoy. What's in your home? If you're married, where do you and your spouse, where do you shop? If you have children, what do you buy your children? You start seeing that the things in your home, 5 out of 10 of the things that you love are from publicly traded companies. Some of you here have gifts where you just find your genius in certain areas, whether it be technology, whether it be healthcare, whether it be construction, whether it just be plumbing, HVAC, all those things, whether even if you're a baker, all those things are associated with the stock market. You look at if you deal with a bakery, flour, sugar, that's all invested in the futures market. You do technology, you look at Apple, Microsoft, and so on and so forth, from social media products and many much more. Then the second thing you want to do is you want to paper trade it. You want to paper trade. Now, one of the things is that many people who want to invest in the stock market, they want to avoid process. One of the things that I love is you want to paper trade, you want to practice what you're doing. What it does, it gives you boosts up confidence. And then once you start doing paper trading, you start doing things like taking action, and then you start playing with real money. And think of it, you don't have to have millions of dollars to invest in the stock market. If you were to buy Ford share, a share of Ford, it's $13. So you start looking at give up a lunch, give up a snack, give up a coffee, a latte, or something like that, and start investing in that. This is about playing for the long term. Long term, it's where it's at. I used to think the wrong way. I used to think that I had to have everything on the short term. And what I've learned is when I try to like do it quick, it never stayed. It was never sustainable. And you start looking at many people, they feel like they need education. And I'm all for that. But think of it, we have more information on earth than ever before. We have more information than our grandparents ever had. But the problem with education is that we're drowning in it, but yet we're starving in wisdom. And that's where you start seeing where you use wisdom to invest your money. And one of the things you look at is what is going to last. You look at stocks, you look at the long term, and then you start seeing from a macro to the micro. And you start looking at stocks that could be players tomorrow. You start identifying those today. One of the things I tell people is if you have children, ask your kids what they like. Generally, when you do that, they're on top of the hottest, latest trends. I didn't know about Roblox. I didn't know about Minecraft. I didn't know about any of those until my daughter actually mentioned it to me. So you start looking at those are good companies. Those are up and coming. Could it be the future? Perhaps. Could it? Maybe not. And you start seeing that maybe like what your kids are doing, even if they're gamers, they can really teach you a lot about investing. But as you look forward, I can't wait to see what the stock market does. And go stop sharing my screen. And we are poised for a great day today in the stock market. I just don't know where it's going to go. It's topsy-turvy. You can see that maybe towards the end of the day, the stock market might be propped up. You have a lot of retail investors that are just trying to time the market. And honestly, if you've just been getting in at the end of the day, either position, you start seeing that you actually get a big boost overnight. So whatever happens with Nvidia is going to be very drastic. We also have a lot of Fed news that may be coming out tomorrow. So could be a very pivotal week. Will it be a great Thanksgiving? Who knows? But I know one thing. I know who holds the keys to my future, and that's what I depend on. But I hope you guys are doing phenomenal, and I hope to speak to each and every one of you soon. God bless you guys.